Hey guys, Yankee here, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a different video here. Today I'm just going to be talking about sort of some ideas that I have for a potential Digimon Survive sequel. Um, this isn't like a fanfic where I've written like a whole story of what Survive 2 could be. It's more just like things that I think they can improve on, just a random idea that I had they could do here, and just sort of discussing what the future of Digimon Survive is. Um, this is going to be an incredibly lazy video, even lazier than normal. I'm not going to do much editing to this, so it's barely going to be a video. It's just going to be me talking with like a stock image of Digimon Survive art somewhere, and that's it. Um, so don't come here for some sort of video component. It's not here. This is a lazy video I'm pumping out because it's something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and I just got a few minutes, so I'm just going to try and pump it out real quick. Alright, Digimon Survive. Before we start talking about sort of ideas and stuff I have for a sequel, I'm going to just briefly give my thoughts on the first game. A Digimon visual novel works really good. I enjoyed Survive much more than I thought that I would, despite the issues I had with it. I think there's a lot that can be improved on, and you can see the development issues in the actual game. But hopefully now that they've sort of worked out the kinks and they know what they're doing, like they can really build off this and make something really great. And I already really enjoy this, so take what they've learned from this into a sequel, and I'll be happy. So I really enjoyed Survive. Yeah, and that's my thoughts on the first game. Really good. You should definitely play it. If you haven't, if you're a little bit iffy on it, I think give it a try. I think it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. So now, Survive 2. First thing I want to talk about, right off the bat, Survive 2 doesn't have to be a direct sequel to the first game, and I don't want that at all. I don't want them to pick an ending and then build off that. I want them to just take the mechanics, take the systems, take like the general concept of Digimon Survive, a visual novel SRPG hybrid with Digimon, and make a new one. I don't need a sequel. I don't need to see these characters again. Just take what you've built and make a new story in a new world, right? Treat it like the anime or treat it like most of the games. They don't have to be interconnected. Just keep them separate. Another thing, well, first of all, it doesn't have to be called Survive 2. Like, I assume that this will just be Digimon Survive series if we get more, like how there's Digimon World now, there's Digimon Survive, or Digimon Story, so like the World games are now like World 1, story games are like the story games, and now like Digimon Survive will probably be its own series with either numbers or subtitles or something. I don't need the same tone every time. I think that just this format, like the visual novel SRPG thing, can work with many different tones. It doesn't have to be like this weird, like, oh, we're trapped in this world, there's scary monsters, people can die. You can do something lighter. And this is just an example, and not something I particularly want, but it would be easy to do, and I think it would still work just as good. Take Digimon Adventure, the original series, and make a new Digimon Adventure game in this style, where you play as like Tai or whatever, and you play through the anime, and you have the anime's tone, which is not as dark as the Survive game. Add some branching evolutions and stuff like that, and I think it could work, right? I don't really want that, but that's just like an idea. It doesn't have to always be like the first, like Survive wasn't really horror, but like I don't know, like tragic and like depressing. Like you can do something more upbeat with these systems and still have a fun game. So I don't want them to pigeonhole themselves, right? I don't want them to be like, okay, Digimon Survive is this continuity and we're going to build off it. I don't want that. Digimon Survive is this tone and we need to keep doing that over and over. I don't really want that either. I think if they're going to call it Survive 2, you're probably going to have to, but that's also why I don't need Survive itself to be a series, just to be like Digimon Exploration, and it's like just a fun adventure with visual novel and SRPG stuff, right? So there's that. Sequel doesn't need to be a direct sequel. Try and make something that is its own, instead of just trying to make more survive, if that makes sense, right? Next, Digimon. The most important part of a Digimon game is the Digimon. One thing I think Survive did really well, that I think they did even better than anime usually does, is they made the partner Digimon fun, and I really enjoyed all of them. I think because this is a longer game and there was a lot of downtime, you get a lot of moments where you, the player, are interacting with other partner Digimon, and those other partner Digimon are interacting with other humans, and you don't see that as much in the anime. It's there, but seeing what was it, Falcomon and Labramon and Dracmon or something, just you're going in the woods and you just see them and they're just hanging out chatting, that's neat. I think they did a good job of making the Digimon feel like characters, even if they were there really to I don't want to say prop up the human characters, but they were there to sort of complement them. I still found them very interesting. I think some of the Digimon I liked more than the humans. I thought they were really well done, and I liked it a lot. And so I think maybe give them a bit more character. One of the things that, Digimon Survive, your Digimon just, they met you, and they don't really seem to have much of a past. So I think that's something that maybe you could improve on, is let the Digimon have a history before you meet them. That could be neat. Next, I want to specifically talk about your partner Digimon. So in Digimon Survive, it was Agumon, and this is where we're getting some speculation and stuff. Digimon Survive 2. In my mind, there are two options for what this partner Digimon for that is going to be. And I have an idea that I think is fun, but I don't think will happen. So, first one, I felt like it was kind of a teaser at the end of the True Path and Survive. Demi Vmon shows up. I think Vmon is, if Survive 2 happens, I think he is 95% likely to become the main partner Digimon, and I think that can be fun. I like the idea of it just following the anime main characters, even if I do think that they sort of get pushed too much sometimes, especially Agumon and Vmon, though to a much lesser extent. I think having a Survive 2 be about Vmon, and you can do some interesting things where give him his virus vaccine and data evolution lines, but maybe do something neat with the armor evolutions. If a Survive 3 happens, you got Guilmon, and you can do some neat stuff there because you have Dukemon and, is it Megidramon? Or just, I think it's Megidramon. He's already got a... Oh, because Dukemon is vaccine at the end, I think. So Megidramon would be his virus evolution. So you can do some neat stuff with that, and then when if we get a Survive 4 and they keep doing anime protagonists as the Digimon, we get Flameon, and you can do some really cool things with that because the Frontier Digimon just don't really get a lot of attention. So that could be cool. Having it follow the anime protagonist Digimon could be neat. I think it's a bit generic and not really my ideal outcome, but it's not a bad idea, and I think you can do some neat stuff with it. For me, I would much prefer they take a Digimon that hasn't really been given a chance to be a protagonist and expand on them and let them shine. So right off the top of my head, Bearmon, he was he was the poster boy for Digimon World 3. He's had some anime appearances here and there, but I'm talking about let him be the main Digimon. I think that could be cool, and it would also be neat to not have a dinosaur or dragon Digimon as the main partner every time, because I think you're going to run out of dragon Digimon if you keep doing Agumon, then Vmon, then Guilmon, especially if you do Saber's Agumon too. Or another Digimon that I think could be a cool main partner that's you wouldn't usually get is Penguinmon. He's an old Digimon. He's really cool. Obviously not a first choice for a main partner Digimon, but I think he could do it. And I think there are a lot of Digimon that deserve a chance to shine and would make good partners for the main character. So that's sort of my ideal. I think they'll just keep doing anime Digimon. Third thing, this is never going to happen. This was just an idea I had a while ago. My idea is you make a brand new rookie Digimon, and you do it after you've picked the virus, vaccine, and data champions. And so you can build a new rookie design that sort of complements them, and you can sort of see how you can get from that rookie form to each of the ultimates. Again, this isn't going to happen, but I think that could be neat. It's like sort of the reverse of how in the original VPET, like you have Agumon, Betamon as your two rookies, and then you have Greymon, who is an orange dinosaur with the Betamon's like stripes, like things like that, except reverse, where you take a couple of champions and you build a rookie to evolve into them. But yeah, that's it for partner Digimon. The rest of the Digimon, I think something they really need to do is expand the roster. It wasn't too bad in this game, just having, what was it, like 115 Digimon. It wasn't too bad. I did get, like, I had finished getting all the Digimon by my second playthrough, so by the third and the fourth, like I didn't care anymore. I wasn't recruiting Digimon anymore. I had my Digimon that I'd been using, and like I didn't do the free battles or anything like that anymore. So adding more Digimon that could you sort of recruit over time would be nice. They don't need to redo all the Digimon sprites. Like they don't need to change art style, things like that, like they do sometimes between games. But there are also some Digimon sprites that I do think need to be touched up. And the first one I think of is Blossomon, where its combat sprite just looks kind of funny and almost like a different art style from the rest. So you don't need to the art style in this is good. You can tweak it a little bit. You can do some improvements maybe, but keep the art style for the Digimon. Add some more. Fix some of the odd looking ones. And that's it. That's all I have to say about Digimon. Next, we're going to talk about gameplay. I don't really have much to say about this. One, SRPG stuff was kind of lacking, and you just have to I don't know what to add. I'm not a big SRPG guy. I don't play many, but even I felt that there wasn't really a lot to the combat, and I get that it's mainly a visual novel. But in a sequel, you should expand on that a little bit. I'm not going to hold that against the first game. The SRPG stuff wasn't the main focus, so it's okay that it's a little lacking. But if you do a sequel, you gotta build on it a little bit. Add a new mechanic, just being able to get behind somebody and then attacking them and that doing extra damage is cool. But I don't know what to add because I'm not an SRPG guy. But it needs a bit more, in my opinion. And this next thing, doing all 4 routes was a pain, especially since nothing really changes until chapter 8, where you decide which route you're going on. So having to start from chapter 1 and go all the way through to chapter 8 just to pick the route was a nightmare. And so I don't know how they would get this to work. In a game that I played and I really enjoy, Conception 2, it's a dungeon crawling RPG with some light novel dating sim elements where you go fight in a dungeon and then outside of that you can talk to some girls and there's romance stuff to it, right? There's a cutoff in that game where you get to a point in the story where it tells you if you go any further, you can't talk to the girls anymore, you can't progress their stories anymore. Everything is going to be set after this point. And you can continue and get to the end and be happy with the choices you made and not have to go back. Or you can obviously cancel out, get all the girls' affinity up, and then finish the game. Well, once you finish the game, they give you a new Game Plus option, like Survive has. The difference is they give you 2 starting points. They give you a starting point at Chapter 1, where you can go back and replay the whole game, and they gave you a second starting point right before that warning. So you beat the game, you didn't get all the girls' affinities up, you couldn't get all their endings. Don't worry, you can start from Chapter 7 or something, get the affinity up, finish the game again and see all the endings. I don't know how you get that to work here, because I know, like, your affinity depends, like, changes what endings you can get, so you might not be able to just start at chapter 8 and then do all 3 endings. But doing 2 full playthroughs, one where you have high, moral and wrath affinity, so you can just get the wrath ending, start at chapter 8, get the moral ending, then go back to do chapter 1, get your harmony rank up, and then do the harmony ending, and then start at chapter 1 again, do the true ending, right? Like, it's not a perfect solution, but I think it would help a lot. Just not needing to go through the first 8 chapters every time. That was the biggest slog of the game, and I really struggled to get through it every time. And that's it about gameplay. Next, we're going to talk about characters. Characters in this game were fine. Some I liked more than others, like Ryo in particular was my favorite character in this game. Some I thought might have been cool really turned out to be pretty bland, like Kaito. I think that's the biggest problem with the characters in this game, is a lot of them just feel kind of bland. I think the biggest problem is you don't really learn too much about them. Like, okay, Kaito likes his sister, we learn about what happened to her, but we don't know too much about, like, Kaito himself. His whole character is sort of revolved around that, and it just feels like there's not enough there. So work on the characters a bit. I think having Shuji and Ryo forced to die in 3 or 4 playthroughs was not a problem. It sucked, right? Especially once you get to the true ending, and, like, for the most part, up until chapter 8, again, Ryo and Shuji's dialogue is just sort of tacked on to the story we've already seen. This is me just throwing out ideas. Who knows if it would work? But my idea was, instead of having characters that are set to die every time, you have instances where a character will die, and you're given an option to save one or the other. It wouldn't change the game significantly. It would just, like, one character dies, one character lives, and then whichever one lives would fit in the same spot in the story. Like, during a scene where everyone's talking, instead of character A saying something, it would just be character B. And, like, obviously that's going to be more work, and it's going to take time. But I think it would be more impactful than just having 2 characters that are dead most of the routes, and you can't really do anything with them. Being able to pick and choose, one, it gives you more options as you're playing. But I think it could also, like, I don't know, like, being able to save both characters that you've let die both times was cool in Survive. But, like, giving you that extra step of, once you get to the true route in Survive 2, you're able to save all the characters, so, like, you don't have to pick and choose who lives and who dies anymore. I think that could be more impactful. Again, that's just an idea. It would help make, like, if the routes are going to be pretty much the same as much as they were in the first Survive, where, like, 3/4 of each route are exactly the same. Like, the chapters 1 to 8 are the same in pretty much every route in this game. Just having a different character there to butt in would help keep it a little bit more fresh, in my opinion. And finally, story. Just general story stuff. I think the biggest problem with Digimon Survive is the true route, where having, moral, harmony, wrath, having them all sort of change at the same point, like chapter 9, that's fine. Those are the normal ones. They're going to stick kind of the same. I don't mind that. The true route, I don't like. That should have changed way earlier. Like, having the first 8 chapters be almost the exact same in true route when things have changed so radically. Ryo surviving and things sort of being the same is still okay. Shuji's death still causing Minoru to go on that meltdown in chapter 6 made no sense whatsoever, and was the stupidest thing in that entire game. That was the worst part of this entire thing, and it really took me out of it. Like, It made no sense whatsoever. True route should have branched off much earlier. As soon as Shuji was saved, like, you're on the true route now. Like, no, even before that, as soon as Ryo is saved, you're on the true route. Like, it's okay to keep some things a little bit similar until Shuji's incident, but once Shuji is saved and wasn't eaten by Wendigomon, things should be way different. Minoru has no excuse to be upset at Falcomon because of the black fog that surrounded Lopmon. It didn't make any sense. Kaito has no reason to be suspicious of Dracmon because Lopmon had a black fog around him. If you want to make a visual novel that's really story-focused, you gotta make those stories work better. The True Route was fine. It had some issues. Like, this whole game had a few issues here and there, but for the most part I enjoyed it. But boy, the True Route really dragged because it was exactly the same as everything else up until Chapter 9. Like, it needed a hard shift immediately after Shuji was saved. And I think Survive 2, I think you need to make the routes more distinct early on. Like, the normal routes, it's fine. Again, you want to go to Chapter 8 and then change things up there, that's fine. For a true route, it should be almost completely different. Like, this is the thing you unlock. You played through the entire game to unlock this true story, and for it to be so close to the other ones up until that point, even to a point where it doesn't make sense for it to be the same anymore, really drag down the true route. So that's the biggest thing they need to fix. If you want to make a visual novel and really focus on story, you got to make sure the story in this is really good, and you got to make sure if there's anything like Chapter 6 of the True Route in Survive 2, I don't know if I'll be able to stomach a Survive 3, because it would show that they're not really improving. Because, man, that was Chapter 6 of the True Route was just awful. It was really, really bad. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the story. For the most part, I thought it was fine. Like, Harmony Route was okay. What was it? No, maybe not. Harmony and Wrath were meh. Moral was alright. True Route was pretty good until the end, which I felt kind of dropped the ball a bit. And wasn't maybe built up too properly, but maybe I had missed something. So I'm not going to entirely blame the game for that. But I will say that overall, the story in Survive was fine. It was serviceable. It definitely can be improved upon in a sequel. And that's that. That's all the notes that I had. I like Survive. I want to see more. Again, I think the format is more interesting to me than Survive itself. Like, visual novel and Digimon worked really well for me. I want more of that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Survive again and again and again. Like, you can do different things. Like I recommended or suggested earlier, do an adaptation of an anime. Like, they celebrate the anime anniversaries all the time. Like, imagine if this year is like, it's Frontier's 20th anniversary. Here is Frontier Survive, where it's just a retelling of the Frontier story, but with some branching routes and some branching Digimon evolution lines. Like, allowing the kids to get the other I forget what the evolutions are called in Frontier, but like Ferrymon being able to evolve into Ranamon or something, like the Digimon they defeat being able to unlock those as split evolutions, things like that. Like, the format is much more interesting to me than Survive itself. I like Survive a lot. I'm excited for a second one, but the format, the visual novel Digimon games, are really interesting to me, and I hope we get more of them, and I hope we get a good variety of them. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.